What the heck does a CEO actually do? I used to live in fear that everyone at my company would figure out I had no idea what I was doing, because the truth is, I didn't know what I was doing. And I didn't know what I was doing in large part because I didn't know what the heck a CEO was supposed to be doing. Now, fortunately, I did eventually figure it out. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Ryan Deiss. My partners and I manage 17 companies across our $200 million holding group. So we know a thing or two about managing chaos. And if there's one skill that separates CEOs that scale from CEOs that fail, it's their ability to know exactly what to do next, even when the walls are closing in. What I'm gonna show you now is that step-by-step framework to do just that, to identifying your company's right next thing, or RNT. Let's dive in. First, let's talk about the CEO's real job. I think it was Fred Wilson who said a CEO only has 3 jobs. Number 1, to set the vision. Number 2, to build the team. And number 3, to not run out of money. Now this is true, but here's the thing. You don't need to set the vision every day. Building a great team should eventually become the responsibility of your managers and leaders. And while watching cash flow matters, your CFO and sales team should really be leading the charge on that. So what's the CEO's unique job? What do you actually do day in and day out? Well, I believe it's this. I believe the number 1 job of any CEO is to identify the company's right next thing. The right next thing, or RNT, is the single most important thing the business needs to be doing right now moving forward. But how do you find your RNT? Well, here's the exact framework that I use every 90 days to do just that. Step 1, reflect on the past. I want you to take 15 minutes to look back over the last 90 days. And I want you to make 2 lists where you write down, number 1, what am I proud of? These wins are gonna reveal what's working and where momentum is building. On the second list, I want you to write down, where do I have regrets? Now, regrets, believe it or not, are gold mines. They show missed opportunities and areas for improvement. And this matters because pride is what's gonna motivate us to move forward, but it's the regrets that teach us humility, and they highlight the areas that need fixing. It may sound crazy, but your list of regrets will be far more profitable to you than a lot of the things on that pride list. Step 2, anchor the present. So now I want you to shift to the present, to the now, and I want you to ask yourself, where do I feel confident? Confidence points to strengths and reliable processes. It points to assets that you can utilize and double down on right now. But I also want you to ask yourself, where do I feel a sense of lack? Because lack might mean a missing ingredient, skill, or key hire. For example, maybe you feel confident in your sales team, but you recognize a lack of administrative support, and that's causing your best sales reps to get bogged down in data entry and just CRM cleanup and crap. In this case, you would lack sales admins. Now, as you've no doubt guessed, lacks frequently, but not always, inform a right next thing. Step 3, envision the future. So next, I want you to look 90 days ahead, and I want you to write down, what excites me? Excitement signals opportunities that you should explore, but I also want you to write down what worries me, because worries reveal potential pitfalls that you might want to mitigate against. Now, if you notice, in all these areas, we're always combining what I refer to as paired opposites. Something that's good with something that's bad. And it's the gap between these two that we're playing with, and it's what's gonna allow us to brainstorm and come up with the ideas that we need to really begin to dig in and to determine what that right next thing is. Step 4, identify your right next thing. All right, now comes the magic. Once you have taken inventory of where your company is today, the good, the bad, and the really, really, really scary, I want you to review all of the lists. You should have about 6 of them. And the question I want you to ask yourself is this: what must happen in the next 90 days to increase my pride, confidence, and excitement while reducing regret, lack, and worry? And when you do this, a lot of thoughts are gonna come to your mind. I want you to brainstorm 5 to 7 possible initiatives that when you look at these possible initiatives, you're gonna think, yeah, if we do that, then I'm not gonna have that regret again. And if we do that, then that lack is gonna go away. And if we do that, you know what? That thing that I'm really, really, really worried about, all of a sudden, I'm gonna be pretty excited about that. In other words, what must be true that isn't true today for you to have more pride, more confidence, more excitement, and a whole lot less regret, a whole lot less lack, and a whole lot less worry? Now, once you've come up with the 5 to 7 initiatives, I want you to prioritize them based on potential impact. That top item, that is your right next thing. Step 5, take action. Then get out of the way. Now, this one is the simplest, but it's also probably the hardest. I want you to commit to the top initiative, your right next thing. And I want you to empower your team to execute on it. Not, I want you to execute on it. Because the reality is, once you figure out what to do next, your next challenge is resisting the urge to do it all yourself. And that's why your job as the CEO is to determine your company's right next thing. It's not to necessarily execute on the company's right next thing. Look, I hope you found this helpful, but at the end of the day, advice without implementation is useless. So here's what I want you to do next. Schedule a 90-minute right next thing session this week with your leadership team. Follow the steps we just covered. Make the lists, and you're gonna walk away with clarity, focus, and a concrete plan to lead your business forward, even, and I would say especially, if chaos is currently reigning. If you found this helpful, you're gonna love a video that I did on how we create a clarity compass in each of our businesses to make decision-making even easier. So be sure to check that one out too.